Managing your finances is essential for achieving financial stability and growth. And you know what? Payday actually sets the tone for the entire month on how you are going to manage your money. So how you handle it can significantly impact your financial well-being. With that said, in this video, I will provide 6 practical insights and valuable tips on how I effectively manage my household income, expenses, and savings on Payday, so you can gain some actionable tips on budgeting, saving, and making wise spending decisions on Payday. Now, before we get into my Payday routine, let me give you a bit of a background on how my household finance works, just to give a bit of context to this video. Because when I talk about money, I'll use the word "I" because it's not just my money alone, it's my money and my husband's money put together. And then I will use "I" and my routine because I'm usually the one in charge of finances in our household. So basically how we handle finance in my household is that my husband will bring 100% of his salary, and then I'll bring 100% of my salary, and then we'll create a budget based on that, and then we'll allocate the funds based on that budget. But I would mostly be the one to do the payment transactions, stay on top of our bills, and my husband just comes for monthly review basically. So the first step in managing our money on Payday is by understanding the net income. So this includes the total amount after deductions such as taxes, national insurance, and retirement contributions. So we live in the UK, and in the UK you would have to pay income tax and you have to pay national insurance. So we have a workplace pension we contribute to. So I think I contribute about 10% of my salary, and then my employer would match it up at 6%. But my husband contributes about, I think, 9%, and his employer matches up to 9%. So my husband was like, he doesn't want to do 10% because his employer will not give him the remaining 1% to match it up. So what is the point? So he said he's comfortable with doing 9%, and then his employer will match it up to 9%, because that's the highest match his employer can do. But for me, the highest match my employer can do is 6%. And then I had to do 10% of my salary. So we both contribute to our workplace pension, and this will be deducted. So that is why when I'm doing our budgeting, it's always good for me to know, okay, what will be the net income. So yes, I break it down to know what our net income would be. Now, we would always have a gross income. So that's the total earnings before any deduction. So we always have that. And then we have our earnings after deduction, so after tax, national insurance, and retirement contribution. So after that deduction is done, that is what will be our net income. So basically, we don't actually receive our gross income, we receive what is called a net income. That is the amount deposited into our account after deductions. But I just like to go over our gross income and deduction before it gets to our net income, because at times there might be errors, at times we might receive bonus, so our net income might slightly change. So by the time I do all of those calculations, I know that, yeah, this is what we are expecting, and it matches the budget we have. So basically, the way we budget our money is that for next month, that's for August, we've already budgeted it for July. So in July, we do the budget for August. In August, we do the budget for September. So we'll usually create our budget a month ahead. So on this month's Payday, we actually just made payments for what we've budgeted for last month. And on this Payday, we made a budget for how we'll spend our money next month. I hope that makes sense. So basically, understanding the amount available just helps me plan our finances accurately, so we don't go over or we don't go under budget. So this is why if you're looking to start a Payday routine, start by understanding your net income, because it's just a cornerstone for effective financial planning. Likewise, understanding our net income just gives me a sense of control, and it helps us from overspending because we know how much that is available to us. And it also empowers us to make informed financial decisions, and it instills confidence in us that yes, we can manage our money because we know what is available to us every month. So once we have a clear net income picture, we can now cover all our essential needs by prioritizing our expenses. Doing this for us gives us a sense of security and peace of mind, knowing that our most essential expenses are taken care of first. It allows us to focus on other financial goals, and it really helps us reduce financial stress. And I feel if you do this, it can also help you in this particular way. So basically what we do is that we pay off our fixed expenses first. So the day they pay us our money, the next day we are paying off our fixed expenses. So these are non-negotiable monthly costs such as our mortgage, utility, insurance, offering and tithe for church, and then our loan repayment. Now, I call these fixed expenses because they remain constant each month and they are essential for maintaining our standard of living. You know, we can't do without utility, that is our council tax, electricity, water, and gas. You know, these are essential payments we have to make every month and it's fixed, and we can't do without paying our tithes and offering. It's important, you know, we have to give back to God who has provided this income to us. Now, because I want to keep this video short and sweet, I'm not going into details of how much we pay for what each month. If you want to know that, I have a video on the channel where I talked about our monthly cost of living in the UK as a family of 3 living in the Midlands. You can go watch it if you want to know how much exactly we pay for our utility and council tax and all of that. Now, when I'm prioritizing our expenses and making payments, after I've paid our fixed expenses, I then go on to pay our variable expenses. So basically, this is just costs that can fluctuate monthly, such as our savings, groceries, transportation, and entertainment. Next, I go on to pay for our miscellaneous expenses, or probably allocate funds into my Revolut pocket for our miscellaneous expenses. So these just include any other spending that do not fit into the above categories I've mentioned earlier. So these are like personal care, clothing, gifts, and let's say black tax. Now let's move on to the third thing I do in my payday routine, which is how I allocate our savings. Saving for us as a family is a crucial component in our finance management. So on payday, I allocate a portion of our income to various saving goals after spending on essential things. So the first pot I allocate our savings to is something we call our emergency fund. So this is just a safety net for unexpected expenses like medical emergency, like if somebody have to be admitted and they need treatment, you know, going to the hospital, buying food, all of those things. For us, having this fund in the place provides a strong sense of security and reassurance that should in case anything happens, we'll be fine financially. Now, when it comes to our emergency funds, we have like 3 different pots for our emergency funds. So we have a saving pot dedicated to home repairs. We have a saving pot dedicated to medical emergencies, and then we want to start building our saving pot for our living expenses. And currently we want to save about 3 to 6 months of our living expenses in another pot, just so in case if we want to change jobs or want to leave our current employer, we can do so without overthinking it. Or in case anything happens to one source of our income or even both sources of our income, you know, these things happen, you can't say, we'll have something to bounce back on. So we are saving for our emergency funds to cover our living expenses should in case anything happen in an account called NS&I. So it's like premium bonds. I will leave a screenshot of what it's all about. If you want to know more about it, you can go do your research. So we created an account and that's where we're saving for our living expenses under our emergency fund. Right now we have like 1K there. But our goal is to save about 3 to 6 months of our emergency funds there. Now for our home repairs, the money they used to stay there because we just bought a new house, so there's always something new to buy. So that's where we used to go and take the money from. So every month, if you want to buy something for the house, we go and take the money from our home repairs because obviously we still know we have other emergency funds for specific things. But for our medical emergency pot, we don't use to touch that money, we just have a specific amount in that account. It's nothing much, just in case if somebody's not feeling fine or admission or anything, you can just use that money to, you know, run things. Now, my husband and I make additional contributions to our retirement account. So we opened the stocks and shares ISA, and we also kept our lifetime individual savings account. So after we bought our house, we did not close our lifetime individual savings account. We still left it open, and then we still continued to save there for retirement. So this contribution is apart from our workplace pension contribution. So that one is a different one This retirement savings we're doing is just for us in case we want to retire early, maybe by 40, we say we don't want to work, we have money to, bounce back to, or maybe by 50, we say we don't want to work, or by 60, you don't have to wait till the official retirement age in the UK to retire if you're already putting money aside for your own retirement. Because by the time you retire, you can bounce back on your retirement savings till when you reach the official age for retirement here in the UK, and then you can start receiving your pension or maybe your workplace pension, all of those stuff. So we make additional retirement saving contribution on our own. Now, if you want to know more about how to use the lifetime individual savings account to save for your house deposit, or how to use the account in general, or you just want to know what the account entails, you can watch the video I made on that. I will link the video to this one for those who are interested, because this video I want to keep it short and sweet. I don't want to be explaining accounts and things like that. Now, moving on, I also use the NS and I account to save for short-term goals such as upcoming expenses like paying for our subsequent visas. So for those who are new here, my husband and I are expats living here in the UK on a work visa. So my husband is on a work visa and I am independent on his work visa. And if there's one thing about UK visas is that they are not cheap at all. They are very expensive. So the UK visa and the health surcharge fees, they don't come cheap. They are very expensive for any visa you want to do. And if you're paying for a visa, we'll be paying for 3 people, that is myself, my husband, and our son. So it's not cheap at all. So UK visa application fees and the health surcharge fees do not come in cheap. So that is why right now we know we will soon be applying for our indefinite leave to remain, which is also like a kind of a visa, to be fair. So we are saving towards that because we'll soon apply for that in few years time. We'll soon apply for that. So it's not cheap. We have to start saving for it from now. So every month you put money aside so that by the time that time comes, we're not stuck financially and we don't know how to pay for our visa. So yeah, you need to start thinking about like short-term goals. So what I'll consider short-term goals is like something you're going to do in like 1 or 2 years. Yeah, so that's what I consider short-term goals. So yeah, so that's why we are putting money for this. I mean, we have other short-term goals like home improvements, but we rather save for our visa money first before we start buying furniture or decorating our house and stuff like that. Because having our visa money saved up is more of a priority than home improvements. I hope you get the gist. So the fourth way we allocate our savings is for long-term goals. So what we consider as long-term goals are things we are doing like in 10 years time. So basically we set aside funds for significant future investment, like paying for our son's university fees, because we don't want him to take out a loan when the time comes for him to go to university. We want to be able to pay for it. So it's just, it's 2.5. So that's like in, let's say, 13 years time or so, he'll be going to uni or doing A-levels and all of that. So we're thinking about that now. Basically, we want to equip him with the skills that we need to be a good person all around and to be able to survive on his own. So what we are doing is that we opened a junior SIP and a junior ISA account. So the junior ISA account, we have access to it when he's 16. And then the junior SIP is more like a retirement fund for him. So that's when he'll be much, much older. So that's like the two significant things we want to do for him, like when he's older. So that's our long-term goal. Our plan basically is to buy our house, have investments, pay off our mortgage. And the point in time would come where we would have to leave the UK and we have to sell everything we have and move back home or move back to a country we really like. So if he's thinking want to inherit house, the house might probably not be there because his parents are thinking of selling it to go enjoy their life in their old age. So basically, that's why we have the junior ISA and the junior SIP, so that his financial future will be secured basically that way. And yeah. Now I'm not going to cap and tell you guys that saving money has been easy. No, it hasn't been easy. In short, a few months ago, when we're in the midst of buying our house, I was actually financially stressed. Like every single time, I was always thinking about money. I could not do anything because all I'm thinking about is how much we are going to pay for that thing. Like the financial stretch was almost crippling me. So I applied this concept. So there's this concept that says little drops make an ocean. So basically this emphasizes how small consistent actions can accumulate significant results over time. And to be fair, I've applied this concept to my savings, or how I save money in, or how we save money in our household. So I used to think, if you want to save £1,000, I mean it's £1,000. Just take £500 this month, take £500 next month, £1,000 has come. That's how I used to think. But that mentality has not helped me so far. So if I want to save £1,000 now, what I would do is I'll say, okay, I need to save £1,000. What do I need to save that money for? Okay, I need to save it to buy, let's say, an iPhone next year. So what I will do is that I'll say, okay, maybe next year September I want to buy the latest iPhone that will come out next year September. Now, from that September, I still have 12 months, 14 months from this July to September next year. So what I'll do is that I would break that money and put £100 from now till maybe August next year. And that will basically be maybe 1,002 or 1,001. So that's what I've been practicing. Now, let me give you a more realistic example. When we bought our house, we emptied out everything we had and we had to start all over again. So basically, we didn't close the account. So we had to leave some money, like £100 or £200. They just leave the account opened. So when that money left, I was like, oh my God, we don't have any savings, blah, 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 blah. So for a while, that was a bit crippling and unsettling. So this April, when the new financial tax year started, because we had already used the financial tax year of last year, you know how they calculate this ISA thing, and you can go watch that video, you understand better. So when this financial tax year started, we started putting £200. So we were not doing like the big savings we used to do when we wanted to buy a house, where we can just put £2,000, £1,000 as they go inside our savings account. But now we couldn't do that anymore because we have a mortgage that is more than what we're paying for rent. So it's taking more from our finances, and we have a son we need to care for, and obviously we still have family back home we take care of. And yeah, and I'm the firstborn, so I have a younger brother that sort of relies on me for money. And I have to think about him once in a while. I digress, sorry. In April, we started putting £200 every month. And we did January, February, March, April, May, June, July. So we're in July right now. Yeah. So when I did our saving pot for this month, I was just looking at our eyes here. I was telling my husband that, oh my God, I can't believe we already have 1,600 saved in our lifetime ISAs, because we were consistently putting £200 every month and we got the bonus. So I have about £1,000 or so, I'm not sure now, and my husband has about £1,000 or so, because the bonus, and I think we have some cash there, and he constantly puts like £200 every month in that account. So what I'm just trying to say is, honestly, this concept has helped me save money, like just save small. Coming from where we used to save like £1,000 a month into our life ISA, or even sometimes £2,000 a month. You know, after we bought our house and all the other factors I mentioned, we could not save that much anymore. So we had to break it down. And, you know, for me, I was thinking, what is £100 that we are saving? Like, what is £100 that we are saving? But to be fair, saving that £100, £200 consistently, you'd be surprised that when it's time to use that money, you would have whatever money you need for wherever you need to use that money for. Like I was mentioning earlier, how we're saving for our indefinite leave to remain application. I think when we calculated the money we need for our indefinite leave application in a few years' time, it was about £10,000. And trust UK government, by next year, that money might have increased. You know what, we've come to realize that if we start to save like £100, £200 every month, by the time we're applying for our indefinite leave to remain, we would have that money in full. You know, which will reduce that stress of thinking about, oh, indefinite leave to remain application is coming. How do we pay for it? How do we afford this? Blah, 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 blah. Anyway, enough of the gist. Let's move on. Now, let me talk about how I make payments, or how you can make payment during your payday routine, just so that it's easy for you to keep up with your routine. So for me, I implemented automated and manual payment system to ensure consistent financial management and avoid missing payments or neglecting our savings. So for instance, I have a direct debit payments for our fixed expenses like our monthly mortgage repayment and utilities, just to maximize the risk of late payment. And this approach keeps my finances organized and ensure that all physical payments are paid on time. Because here in the UK, you don't want to miss a payment. If not, that letter will be coming through your door. Also, I make it a point to settle all payments by a specific date of each month to avoid late payments. So after payday, I have 2 payment days basically. So a day after payday, all the direct debits for our fixed expenses are done. A day after payday. Then on that same day, I put money into all our saving pod. And after that, there's a particular day that all our insurance payments are made. And after that, that's the end of payments. Like no money would come out of anybody's account, or no money should be coming out of anybody's account for maybe fixed payments or savings after those 2 days I just mentioned. So that's how I did it. Now for our savings, I actually used to allocate a percentage of our income to various savings accounts like I mentioned on Payday. And this process is not automated because sometimes I need that flexibility to be able to adjust the amount of money I allocate based on our monthly budget and financial plan. So there are some days where we have to do some impromptu financial things, and then we have to adjust our savings to be able to do that. So we have to put less, because if we automate that, we will not be able to have that control and flexibility. So that's why we did it this way. Now, the 5th thing I do on Payday is to monitor and adjust our budget. So let me tell you how we do that so that you can know how to do that for yourself. So managing money is not a one-time task. It should be an ongoing process. So for me, I would regularly monitor our expenses and adjust our budget as needed. So my husband and I would usually do this. So this is just to allow us be in control of our financial situations. So how we do this is that we'll usually have a monthly review. So maybe randomly during the month or before payday or after payday, my husband and I will sit down and we'll review our spending to ensure that we're staying within budget, and to identify areas for improvements, and to ensure that the money is being paid, because I'll usually be the one to make the payments into our savings and to pay for bills and everything. So just that check and balance where he will say, okay, how much do we have in this account? What did you put there? What did you put there? You know, he will just check budget and say, okay, the money is there, the money is there. You know, just have that check and balance. This is not about trust issues. It's just about having that check and balances. To be fair, I would usually be the one to drag my husband to do it because he does not send. He just trusts that if I say I put money there, I put money there. I say, what if you wake up and you not see money there? He will say, no, I'm very frugal. Like my financial management skills is really strong, my budgeting skills. So he does not have fear that one day he wake up and there will not be money anywhere. So he just has that confidence in me. So this review is not about trust issues, be monitoring what is spending, who is spending. No, it's just so you guys as a family, if you are doing as a family, you guys are on track financially. And if you're doing it personally, you can have someone you're accountable to financially, or you can just trust yourself. So the second thing we do is to adjust our allocations. So basically, if we find that a specific category constantly go over budget or have excess fund, we'll just adjust it accordingly. So most times you are always pushing the budget for food. We started at £300, then we'll push it to £350, now it's at 400. By next month, I'm sure I'll be spending about $450 on food. So yeah, we always used to do that adjustment. I think one good example I can give you is when I was doing my driving lessons, I kind of overspent on that. So what I'll do is I would reduce our emergency funds or our retirement savings just to compensate for it. So basically that's why I said I do not automate our savings, because I need that flexibility, because it just allows me to stay within budget and to live within our means and not to borrow and stuff like that. So we still have that buffer room to adjust. And if I have excess fund in a category, I might just consider reallocating into my savings goal or to any future expenses, basically. So another thing we do is we always track our progress. So I keep track of our saving goal to ensure we are on track to meet them. So for instance, like I mentioned earlier, that we are saving for our indefinite leave to remain application. Now this is in a year and a couple of months time, let me just say in 2 years time. So every month we'll look at it and say, okay, we have £200 saved. Okay, by next month we have £400 saved. So this way we can meet our saving goal, and if we have to adjust some things to meet it fast, we would. Now let's talk about the last but not the least segment in my payday routine. Now, basically, this is just around how I spend with discretion. Now, managing money requires careful planning, prioritization, and discipline. After allocating for fixed expenses and savings, the remaining funds can be allocated for discretionary spending such as hobbies like photography or painting, entertainment such as movie nights, eating out at fine restaurants, sightseeing on the weekends, trips to visit family and friends, and other personal pleasures. Now, for me and my household or for my family, our discretionary spending budget is minimal as most funds are allocated towards settling bills. Nonetheless, we ensure that we enjoy life without compromising on our financial goals, because that's more important to us, by consistently staying on top of our bills. Likewise, we practice mindful spending by prioritizing experience and items that add value to our life. Making cautious choices with our money allows us to focus on what truly brings us joy and fulfillment, like using our extra funds for discretionary spending to assist like family, or overpaying on our mortgage just to reduce the mortgage term, like the mortgage length, to reduce it with a couple of years. That's very important to us. So for now, we basically don't have like a discretionary spending budget. But one thing we ensure is that our approach to spending isn't about depriving ourselves. Rather, it's about aligning our spending with our values and long-term goals. This just gives us some control over our financial decision and ensure that every penny we spend aligns with our values, fostering a sense of power and alignment with our financial lives, basically. I know we'll get to a point where we'll have enough money to go on trips, go on holiday. In short, I was thinking this year was that year. Fortunately, this year is not that year. Maybe next year will be my year of traveling everywhere. But right now, this is where we are in our financial life. We don't have that surplus money to do all of the extra things of life. So we just find joy in contentment. But for you, if you don't have the responsibility of black tax or overpaying on your mortgage, you can splurge as you like. In conclusion, effective money management on payday involves careful planning, prioritization, and discipline to ensure robust financial health and the ability to reach financial goals. Your payday routine on how you save and spend money should be about providing comfort for your present while preparing to secure your future financially. With this, we've come to the end of the video. Bye for now, and thanks for watching.